Hello, everybody. My name is Alex. I am a project manager at Beam Data. I manage data science projects, and I like to keep informed with the job market. To that end, I track it. And I hope to share some of my insights with you. Before we do that, I would like to also introduce the co-host for this evening, Adam. Adam is a program manager at WeCloudData. Adam, I can turn it over to you.
Hey, hi everyone. Very exciting to see so many attendees for here. And I'm program manager for data scientists. I'm helping the students who are interested to the career switch or transaction to join the bootcamp, get enough training, and carry on the experience and join the client projects. I will give back to Alex, and I hope you join this sections. And if you have any questions, you can either unmute yourself or leave message in the Zoom chat, and Alex will answer the question you have. Okay, back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Adam. So what I'd like to do is describe what what we've been doing at Beam Data. Naturally, we want to take stock of the job market. We want to see where it's changing, how it's changing, when it changes. So to that end, what we've done is we've undertaken a pretty significant scrape of a job site and focus specifically on scraping those jobs that are related to data science. We do this on a daily basis, and every month we like to assess the data, and I like to go over it, and I like to blog about it. And you can find that blog on the WeCloud website. It's really riveting. And maybe Adam can provide the link while I'm speaking. But I've been doing that since about August. And given that this is the beginning of a new year and the end of the old one, I thought it would, in this particular blog, in this particular analysis, be helpful to sort of review the year that was and looking forward to the year that might be. So I wanted to acquaint you with, well, what's been going on, at least since we've been tracking data. Thank you for sharing that link, Adam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. And Adam, because I'm sharing the screen, I might miss some of the latecomers. So if you can just add them in, that would be great. Okay, let me just share that screen. And hopefully everyone can see my screen. And this is hopefully everyone can also see the amount of tabs I have open at any given time. I challenge anyone to have more tabs open than me at any single point. But in any event, so ultimately, as I mentioned before, what we did was we started tracking jobs since August. Well, I guess the first question is, how many jobs are there? And how many jobs have there been? So looking at the data then, we have amassed over 30,000 jobs to do with data science. And I'll make the distinctions that they don't, when I say data science, I say data science related. What ultimately we do is we make 4 distinctions within that space by occupation. And that is, so within the data science space, we have obviously data scientist, data analyst, a data engineer, and machine learning engineer. So that will sort of like play out as I go through the blog, and we will take a look at those particular jobs more acutely. But before we do, the overall picture of the data science jobs landscape is over 31,000 jobs. This is 31,000 jobs across North America. And if we average that out, it's about 6,000 jobs a month. So how does that look month by month? And what might we interpret from its ebbs and flows and fluctuations? Well, it seems anyway that August was a hot month, both temperature-wise and for the data science jobs market. Things sort of, taking my weather analogy, cool down in around September, but sort of stabilized more or less from September to November. We see roughly in and around the same amount of jobs, but it doesn't reach the heights of where it did when we first started tracking in August. And this might be reflective of a certain underlying mood that maybe things this year might take a downturn in terms of jobs or economically. So what we do see is it's hovering, and I would caution anyone about reading anything into the sort of dive we see from November to December. It's not really typical that most companies are going to prioritize hiring in that month. It's just off the radar. So to that end, we'll have to see the January is maybe a more realistic continuation of the November jobs month numbers. So then getting more specific, and I'm going to try and answer any questions if they come up. Brighton's asking, is this tracked on the above blog? This blog right here is when it's released, and it'll be released shortly. It's sort of hot off the presses, but it will be on the link that Adam has provided. It's just not at the moment. It's like currently being published, or that is my understanding. I give it to the front-end tech people, and I say make things happen, and hopefully they do. But in any event, so then we're taking a look over here at the jobs market more generally, and then if we look at those specific job types that I mentioned, then we can see basically the same pattern overall for each job type. Again, September, regardless of job type, was the best. August was the best month, and then there we see that steady state hovering. And then again, that dip in December. What's interesting to note here, and I would, I would, and I do pay particularly close attention to particularly the machine learning engineer position, because it is my contention that this is traditionally, if you can see it, since August anyway, into about October, and I suspect even before that, machine learning engineer positions have been the least posted positions. But I suspect that given the moment we're in that we are in a generative AI moment, in an AI moment where that seems to be the buzzword, I suspect the machine learning engineering position and the postings for that position will continue to increase. And in the ensuing months anyway, it has ever so slightly passed the data engineering, the number of data engineering job postings. So we will see. I'm also suspecting that it might sort of even approach or level off with the position of data scientist. Sorry, the reason, of course, is you just need machine learning engineers to deploy these AI models and to engage with deep learning models and generative AI. Okay. Yeah, so you can see here, I think it's also corroborated by this chart below, but essentially this is what it is. MLG, they've increased by 2.6, and that's sort of like a modest increase, but I think it's going to take a while still for it to really translate into more significant gains. It's still relatively new. I mean, everybody knows about ChatGPT, but I think right now the sense is that businesses are huddling together right now and trying to find the best ways to leverage this and how to leverage it and when to leverage it. So to that extent, though, there's going to be a little bit, I suspect anyway, that there's going to be a bit of a lag. So I think further into, and I think significantly further into the new year, you might see these numbers increase a little bit more dramatically. But by that same token, if data engineering jobs have, or the postings have decreased slightly at maybe the expense of machine learning engineering jobs, then the role of data analyst and data scientist, insofar as the postings are concerned, have remained relatively stable. If you can see the numbers here by the percentage of jobs in each month, then data analysts has about high 30s in terms of between the 4 jobs. Data analyst has always been the most pronounced, taking up about 38% of job postings. And then we have data scientists coming in the low 20s. And then again, now we see the sort of trade-off between data engineering and machine learning engineering. So sort of looked at this in a very general sense, even among job types, but what we wanted to also do was look into more specific markets, larger markets. Who were the larger markets for data science positions? So to that end, we were looking at the top 10 cities for 2023. Insofar as it concerns the number of postings that each city provided. And what we have here is our top 10. And if you can see, it's distributed, the job types are distributed by that city. So there's a couple of things to note, and there's a couple of things I will note. Toronto comes in second. And there's more to that as we scroll down. But you'll note also here San Francisco and Seattle, and particularly how much of a focus they are giving machine learning engineering. San Francisco specifically, obviously, because it is, immersed in and around Silicon Valley, the tech capital of the world, and we'll sort of acquaint ourselves a little bit more further down the line. But you can see here that you essentially don't go to San Francisco, or for that matter, Silicon Valley, to be a data analyst, and they're not looking for a lot of data analysts. They are concerned primarily with machine learning engineering first, almost the inverse of what we've been seeing, right? If machine learning engineering is the most infrequently posted within the broader North American sense, Seattle is making it a priority. Both Seattle and San Francisco are making it a priority to attract and to post machine learning engineering jobs. But rounding up the top 10 is, New York, Washington, San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, Dallas, and these have been largely this top 10. At least the cities themselves have remained the same from August to December, the positions of which may have fluctuated a little bit, but overall, and we're looking at an overall picture, then by far, not even by far, the New York actually has the most number of postings. Now, what I wanted to show is that there's a couple of things if we actually look at the monthly rankings. And what is sort of interesting to me, especially because I live in Toronto, I don't know where you guys live. Maybe you can see your city there in the rankings, but Toronto has, in the last 3 months, really ascended as the city with the most data science job postings. And you can see they've held that rank for 3 months. Whereas New York is if New York, denoted here by this sort of light blue line, is on a bit of not a significant decline. It might speak more to Toronto's ascent, but where they were once the leader, they're now, at least in the following months, have sort of slipped down, even slipping to 4th place for the month of December. Also of note, you can see here Seattle's significant rise here. Ever since September, they have been coming on strong with the number of job postings that they have. And then the sort of rest have sort of fluctuated in and out or a little bit more consistent. But I think those are the three takeaways from the city rankings, and that Toronto is actually really emerging as a significant player in the data science jobs landscape. And it'll be interesting to know if, like, you can almost see like a battle emerging between Seattle and Toronto, because when we did the numbers for December, there wasn't much of a difference. Toronto just edged out Seattle for the most number of job postings. I'm sorry, I'm just going to check these. Sorry, let me just try and answer these questions. I got all the data comes from job sites don't exactly like when you scrape their data. So it's, I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but it's a prominent job site, but it's not LinkedIn. LinkedIn is notoriously hard to scrape. But maybe I might be answer that privately. Let me see. The majority of jobs are from the US. The most job post city in Canada is Toronto. Yeah, definitely. Canada is, Toronto is by far and away the biggest job provider in Canada. And as we're seeing here in terms of postings, perhaps in North America, or if it has another good month, it will probably surpass New York, even in the overall numbers since we've been tracking it. I actually omitted remote jobs, but if I did include them, they're by far and away the most posted jobs in terms of remote posting positions. It's just you can't get a not a city, it's not a geographical area. So but they are numerous, like much more than any. I can take the postings for New York, Toronto. I could take probably the first 4 postings, combine them, and that still have more remote jobs. That's what I'm seeing. I have not. I haven't looked for it either. These fake postings. Sorry, I'll try to answer the questions as we go. But in any event, those are the monthly rankings, month by month. And again, the takeaways: Toronto's recent dominance, Seattle coming on, and New York in perhaps a bit of a decline. Here we can see the month of December. Yes, it only covers non-remote jobs. Yeah. So here we can see the number of jobs collected for the month of December. And as I mentioned earlier, Toronto ekes out a win here with Seattle following closely. And then for that matter, Washington as well. But again, you can see the prioritization even this month for San Francisco's machine learning engineering and Seattle. And we'll shortly see, but Toronto becomes a big market for data analysts, and for that matter, data engineers. But we'll see that shortly. Actually, we'll see that right now. So then wanted to take a look at, well, who's hiring data analysts? What are the biggest markets for data analysts? And this is irrespective of the top 10, right? So it could include the top 10, but it doesn't have to. And because it doesn't, we see some sort of surprise additions, or at least cities that you wouldn't necessarily think about, and having a large calling for data analysts. One is Arlington. Arlington, Texas, and Indianapolis, apparently. Consistently hiring for data analysts. But here again, you can see Toronto is leading the pack when it comes to data analyst positions, and has been for the last 3 months. And again, that coincides with Toronto leading the jobs postings for the last 3 months. So what about data scientists? Data scientists, well, again, here we have some trade-off at the top. Again, notice Toronto in the last 3 months. In the month of October, it's first, and in the preceding 2 months, it comes in second. Here we have Washington, and again, New York sort of drops off this month, but again, Toronto, Seattle, and of course, San Francisco is always going to be in the running here, although they did experience a bit of a dip here in terms of looking for data scientists. Interesting here too, McLean. I think I mentioned up here because when I saw this, I'm like, where's McLean? Well, I've never even heard of that city. And why is it hiring data scientists? So it's a government town. It's located not far from DC. It's got a high concentration of influential people, such as ambassadors, senators, and CIA agents. So let's just leave that at that. Data engineering. All right. Data engineering. This looks like spaghetti thrown at a wall. I don't think there's any clear trend going on between the top 10 of data engineering cities. Just lots of fluctuations. But again, here's McLean. In Plano, Texas. I can't really account for Plano, why they would be such a dominant North American player, at least in terms of like postings for data engineering positions. But we'll have to see how or if they are in the running further. Like it could be possible that there's just some sort of like short-term commitment fill that they need for data engineers and are posting significantly. So we'll have to see in the new year. Now, position I mentioned earlier, machine learning engineers. Not surprisingly, this is going to involve basically almost all of Silicon Valley, sorry. So you can see Cupertino, San Francisco, San Jose, Santa Clara, and Sunnyvale, which is either like half, is that half or 60% of this list or 50% of this list, it comes from Silicon Valley, and they are the dominant players looking for data engineers. But again, I guess I'm being a homer, but a shout out to Toronto. That also figures on the list. And it's just, I guess, surprisingly, because I didn't think it would. But again, even with data engineers, with machine learning engineers, it's come on strong in the last 3 months. Right. And that's somewhat surprising for me anyway. I just don't necessarily think of Toronto as a big machine learning engineering market, but it's coming on. Okay, so we looked at the general market, the market by job types, and more specifically, which markets were particularly aggressive with one particular posting or another with respect to those job types. And the question is inevitably, well, how about salary? What's going on there? Well, all right, let me just, before we do that, let me just answer any questions. Okay. Okay. So taking a look at salary, what we also wanted to do is just take a general snapshot and see over the course of these 5 months, well, what's the average salary? And we won't make any distinctions between the job types. But the average salary we're seeing is slightly north of $100,000. And I think I have a question. Yeah, I can try to zoom it in. I don't really use Google Sheets so often, so does anybody know how to zoom that in? Feel free to chime in. Where is it? Aha, Adam. Thanks. Okay, I hope that works. I saw a question about which industries are hiring what. I think we can address some of that at the sort of at the tail end of these slides and the blog itself, because what we do is we take a look at the largest hiring companies in North America, and because I obviously have an interest in the Toronto jobs market, I take a look at the largest hiring companies in Toronto as well. But we'll get to that shortly. Okay, so I mentioned, generally speaking, not making no distinctions for the types of job. We are looking at something slightly north of $100,000. And this number has remained consistent throughout the 5 months. So you can see here, I mean, it's pretty even. I will say this is again, this is taking into account all of North America. What I sometimes have done in my previous blogs is I've also looked at the Toronto jobs market, and therefore maybe even the Canadian jobs market, because Toronto is so large. It's interesting to note, actually, if you are a Toronto job seeker in the data science landscape, they don't really post salaries. In fact, it's sort of notoriously hard to get, in that when we are scraping the North American salaries, we can expect on average that 40% of the jobs will return some type of salary. When we scrape the Toronto jobs market, it is somewhere around 14%. And because the sample size is obviously smaller than the North American one, it's not terribly reliable. I wouldn't hang my hat on it. So for the purposes of like getting an overall more accurate picture, I just wanted to sort of talk about the what we're seeing in general sense in North America. But you can see here against the mean and the quantile ranges. Again, this is more generally speaking without making distinctions between the job types, but we will shortly do that. Yeah, you can see that the top or the bottom 25 in and around 70,000. And when you're at the top 25%, then you're making 125,000. Again, this has been, like, I'd say, remarkably consistent. All right. So let's look at the top 10 salaries for each city, because again, I wanted to see if there's a correlation, or if there's at least a relationship between the jobs that post the most, or sorry, the cities that post the most jobs, and that translates into if the market is big enough, and if the market is big enough, is the market just as lucrative? So then we wanted to look at the top 10 cities. And here we have the monthly ranking of the average salary for the top 10 cities. And if you're seeing those two straight lines, I alluded to it earlier, I will emphasize it again: San Francisco and Seattle. Why do they have the highest average salary? Because they are investing in data science positions and machine learning engineering positions, which, as we will soon see also, on average are the higher salaried jobs. And then again here, New York is expected. And then again, just sort of like ebbs and flows. And again, you can see sort of like the really peaks and valleys of Toronto, which I guess underscores the fact that the data is itself unreliable because of the small sample size of it. But New York and Seattle, from day one all the way to the end of the year, like from pillar to post, are the cities, at least. And I want to just qualify that. So in order to take the averages, we wanted a certain threshold of job postings. So we took around like 500, like the 500 cities with 500 or more job postings, and then see what their average is to sort of like find a reliable number. But I'll get to that shortly, but here's the average salary of the top 10 cities. And again, San Francisco, Seattle, and Toronto overall from August to December, if we take all its numbers in, makes its way into about the middle of the pack. Not bad, not great, considering it is second in terms of job postings. But then again, it is competing with these sort of major North American centers. But there you go. Average salary in Seattle or San Francisco goes to around $148,000. So I mentioned the threshold that we had, but when we take into account postings with at least a minimum of 200, then you see that top 10 change, that top 10 list change significantly. And here it's, again, dominated by Silicon Valley, right? Santa Clara, Mountain View, San Francisco, Sunnyvale, San Jose, well, there's Seattle, Cupertino. This is 6 of the 7 highest average salaries for cities where there's a minimum of 200 job postings. Maybe I could do that. Yeah, Nashville, interestingly enough, finds its way on the list, which is surprising. I expect New York because it's New York, and sure, Los Angeles. Los Angeles, the largest population city, city in the States by population. It's in the top 3. Can't remember if it beats out New York or maybe somebody out here knows. Second. Who's first? Is it New York? Yeah. Still, huh? Okay. Yeah. So, but Nashville is very interesting. I have to sort of like delve into that a little bit further why it is. But again, it also could be because of the low number of postings, and they might have had like sort of like some, who knows if it's terribly reliable, but that's why we sort of like wanted a higher threshold to derive averages from. And here we go by job type. Oh, and I mentioned again, sorry, before we do that, this is true, actually. Thanks for that, Michael. I did hear that there was exodus out of New York and California to Nashville. I have to look into that. Well, yeah, that could very well account for it. But anyway, we wanted to look at salaries now by job type. And as I mentioned earlier, it's very hard to get Toronto job postings. Again, overall, 14% capture rate. But when we're looking at data science jobs in particular, only 6% of them are listed, which is like, not reliable in the least bit. However, it's a 41% average when we look at North American jobs, and the sample size is so much larger. So what do we see here? Well, the average salary for the 4 types for a data analyst, sorry, we'll make 73,000 and change. Data engineer, 110. Data scientists, 114, and here we have, again, machine learning engineer, 130 average. And this is sort of, again, consistent with what we've been seeing month to month, so seem to be fairly reliable. And then you can see the graph here. Okay, if we've taken a look at the market in general, if we've taken a look at job types, generally speaking, looked at the largest markets for those job types, and we looked at the average salaries for those job types. I guess the only thing to look at is to see who is hiring and who has been hiring. So I don't know if you saw up here, where is it? Cupertino. Cupertino finds itself somewhere else, somewhere on this list. Somewhere. But Cupertino, anybody know what's special about Cupertino? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's Apple. And guess who is the largest, which company posts the most job postings for North America? And it's not even close. Apple. And who are they looking for? Machine learning engineers and data scientists. But you can see the presence of big tech on this list, right? Amazon, Apple, obviously, Google. But interestingly enough, you also get some government-affiliated companies like Booz Allen Hamilton and Lockheed Martin. And then, of course, you have your sort of financial interests in Deloitte and Capital One, and Walmart's such a big company and employer that it's no surprise. But by the way, look at Google. Like, don't even apply unless you're a machine learning engineer. Sorry, let me see this question. Oh, okay. It's headquartered. Okay, that now makes sense. Thank you, Michael. Brandon, the why, so sorry. The why regarding job type breakout by company would be interesting. I did salary decrease from last year. I think the why, especially with big tech, is that they want to be ahead of the game. They're employing all these, they're on the cutting edge of all these AI developments. And to that extent, anyway, they are very much looking to leverage machine learning engineers and capitalize on that to sort of propel themselves forward. But I couldn't tell you if salary decreased from last year, at least from the scrapes that the scrape, unfortunately, only is from August. So I'm not like I couldn't verify it based on the information that we have. And then this has been steady all across the entire the months that we've been looking at in the scraping data, right? Apple. And Apple, Booz Allen, Amazon, Deloitte, Capital One, Google. There's been some fluctuation, maybe with respect to positions at the tail end, whether sort of Lockheed Martin, I think, just came on and established itself in the top 10, as did HCA Healthcare and CVS Health. But they are, they're in there. And then if we actually turn to Toronto, TD Bank, in terms of job postings, is the Apple of North America, or at least it's the Apple of the Toronto jobs posting market. And if we don't have the slide for this, but if I did post like its ranking position, you'd see a steady stream of number ones. It's consistently come out every month and had postings. And to that extent, there's a similarity between the Toronto market and the North American, like the larger North American market, in that the financial interests are going to be well represented. Whereas in the North American market, we saw Capital One, Deloitte. Here we see the Toronto big banks come out to play, of which TD is one, Royal Bank and Scotiabank. The other interesting thing here is that, oh, and then there's sort of like financially related companies like Ernst & Young that provides tax consultation. And I can't remember Jerry. What was Jerry again? I think Jerry, I listed it up here. Yeah, Ernst & Young, Jerry, and Afterpay, which provides assurance, consulting, strategy, and transactions and tax services. So they are, I would sort of lump them in with the, financial services. But what's interesting here is Experify and Grand Technologies Inc. Have recently come on, and they weren't there in the first 2-3 months. But they are they have come on as a sort of significant entity anyway within the Toronto jobs landscape. I just also want to show you, it's not a part of the blog, but sorry, before I do that, let me answer any questions. Okay. If so Anchor's asking, can you give a breakdown of the degree or discipline most data science get hired from? Actually, if you want to see that, if you go to my first blog from August, I give a sort of very general overview of educational requirements for each job type, the sort of salary expectations for each job type at sort of every quantile range, and like the high end, the low end, the medium, rather the average. So I would refer you to the August blog to fill in those details. Yeah, and sort of similar, Tammy's asking, do you have average salary for each job type in senior level roles? Not specifically senior level roles, but in the blog I just mentioned, we do take the highest earners, like the quantile range, and we can see like the top 25 earners. The working assumption is like most of them are going to be senior level positions, and the bottom 25 are going to be sort of entry level positions, and then something in between is going to be mid range in terms of experience. Yeah. Again, it's actually a column I'm looking to add in terms of like the sort of senior level positions and junior level positions, and making more like greater distinctions amongst the job types. It's something I'm looking to do in the coming months anyway, to see how best we can capture those positions, because we do get the job titles more specifically, but it's like how many senior level positions are gonna be advertised over the course of a month, over the course of like 2 months, and how reliable are those numbers going to be in terms of like denoting an average from them. So it's a little tricky, but something I do want to add, just because. And actually, So what we're ultimately wanting to do with this scrape is we want to sort of wrap this into an interactive dashboard that you can interact with, so that you can see, sort of adjust any parameters, like what are the most the hiring companies. How about if I have, like, X years of experience? So ultimately we are looking to do that in the short term, sort of like wrap something in something like Streamlit, and then post it on it's like a subdomain of WeCloud, so that if you are interested, you could get a jobs report. And for that matter, I mean, you could subscribe to the blog, but we're also looking to create sort of monthly job reports that we could email out, and or having that interactive dashboard where you can sort of locate something by city, locate something by job type, by education, and be informed. And that dashboard should be updated day by day, so that you can go on any day and get the most recent information. That's ultimately what we're working towards. I don't know. So Michael's asking, is there any public APIs available to see job postings? That's funny. I haven't actually even looked into that. The idea was to leverage the tools that we had in-house and see what we could come up with. But I can look into that. And then that's sort of like the end of the blog. But I did want to show you some things with respect to skills, because that's ultimately an area of interest, and because it plays such a prominent role in terms of your application to any jobs, and you want to know what jobs are in those particular spaces, what skills they are looking for, so that you could, adjust your skill level accordingly, whether you could take stock of what it is you have, what it is you'd like. So we can take a look at this. This is just off my notebook. But I think in an earlier blog, and maybe the August one, I went over the top 15 skills for each job type. Now, granted, that was in August, but I think it should still serve as a fairly good reference. Oh, right. Okay. So just wanted to show you this. And this is for, let me see, sorry. Let's get the overall look here. Okay. So if we're looking just at data analyst positions, in terms of our scrape, what we have here is SQL and Power BI. But you can note here anyway some cloud computing, some AWS. The contention or the working assumption is that these sort of more big data tools might expand a little bit more, or be asked for a little bit more, given that it is, if AI is trending, so is, we've been trying to like leverage big data for some time now. So that's the thing that I'm going to look out for in the coming year. But typical skills related to skills and tools related to the data analyst position. Data scientists, Python. I'm making like a somewhat of a bold prediction that won't necessarily come to fruition in the next year or two, or maybe even 3. But I think I can't see how, I think coding and Python in particular will become, maybe, it sounds crazy, but well, maybe it'd be less required given now chat GPTs and you know the chat GPT's power and you know some of the large language models like that can just spit out high level code, like Google certified level code. What's going to be also, here's some big data. So this actually has to be adjusted a little bit more. But what is going to be interesting to see is NLP, natural language processing, given that it's so synonymous now with large language models, and companies are trying to leverage that. This should increase over the coming months and years. And then again, just the big data tools here, right? Cloud, AWS, big data, PyTorch, I'm also expecting to increase as we sort of leverage these deep learning models, these AI models. But for now, Python is still far and away the most required data science skill. And data engineer, it's all about the cloud and leveraging that big data, as well as some automation tools. And then here we see machine learning engineers, again, as cloud more than Python, but PyTorch, TensorFlow, NLP, and large language models you see here has sort of just eked out on the list. I fully expect that to increase. And I think what I'm looking for in particular is the degree to which these, like the skills and tools of a data scientist overlap with the skills and tools of a machine learning engineer, given that NLP like can sort of like sit on the, as we are seeing, sort of like sit between them. Large language models. So it'll be interesting to see to what extent like even the position of data scientist sort of like expands, or what responsibilities that they will assume in the coming months and years, given the expansion of generative AI, and how that might fuse or overlap with the position of machine learning engineer. In which case, I can't see that as a bad thing if you are a data scientist looking to transition to machine learning engineering. Let's see the most recent ones, I think. For data analysts, we have SQL, Excel, Power BI, so sort of very similar to the overall aggregated list from August. And yeah, it's pretty much the same here on cloud, PyTorch. And we look at this large language models already sort of increasing. So again, that's just something I'm going to keep an eye out for, as you should as well. Interestingly enough, we have a course that is coming out on large language models at WeCloudData that well, anybody sort of trying to stay ahead of the curve, I think it would be in their best interest to acquaint themselves as thoroughly as they can with large language models and NLP. And I don't think I can overstate that enough, given at least what we're seeing so far. Okay, that I'll stop sharing. Thank you guys. I may have went on perhaps longer than I wanted to, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And I will certainly be here and available for questions. But now I can turn it back to Adam. And again, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I hope this section is very valuable for you guys. And see, some of you come from United States, some of you are from Canada. So always like we welcome everyone to join our sections. We always have new things every season. So we will have generative AI. So if you are already in this field, and you can go to our website. Let me share my screen, and I think it's time just talk about our bootcamp as well. So as WeCloudData, so we have a sub company is big data, and also we have focus on the education. So if you are not in the data fields and you are interested to become data analyst, data scientist, or data engineer, so you can join our bootcamp. Okay, so based on the research we done today, or we done like since August, we noticed the job market is still active, and also there is lots of positive news and to the job market. Sorry, let me share my screen first. So I have friends who is a director from Sun Life, and she's told me she started to hurry. So she's from the analytics team. And also we have another friend from banking, but they told me it's hurry free. So which means not all the industry are start hurry. Some industry start hurry in January. Some of the company may still in the recovery. So, but still, when you go to the job market, we didn't see a significant decline of the job post. They're always very steady. So there are always like a lot of job posts on the job market. Okay, so back to the WeCloudData. So we are a Toronto-based, and actually Toronto and the US-based academy. So we have office in Toronto and Vancouver, and also US. So we've been partnered with many Canadian corporations on upskilling their employees, and lots of co-op trainings. We have the relationship with the University of Calgary. We help them to train the students, and also we are ranking the top one globally by switch up. In terms of the campus we have for the data scientists, and it's a diploma program. It's full time, and also we have for the part time as well. So for the full time, we start on the January, and for the part time, we'll start on the February. Okay. So in the bootcamp, we're gonna teach about Python SQL, machine learning, big data, and also you have opportunity to join the real cloud projects. Which is something you may lack. Like for example, you have the skill set, you go to some self-learning, you study hard, but you have trouble to get a domain knowledge, but industry, or you lack of the evaluation about your knowledge, right? So you go to the cloud projects, and the benefit from this project, you are hands-on some real-world problem. You are involved to help the company make decision, right? With this experience, you will become a expert in the particular area, but it is impossible for you to learn everything in short period of time. So you have to really set up the goal, make sure it's tailored your like planning, right? So normally the boot camp for the full time will be 3 months, part time will be 6 months, and then you join the client projects. So basically, we expect you to land job after graduation within 6 months. Most of students already have enough experience to go to interview after 3 months. Okay. Meanwhile, we also have data like a BI program or data analytics program for you available. And the part-time start from February. I do have a question. Is asking about what's average time to take the data sets campus to find a job in Canada. Okay, so I will say the average time will be 6 months, and some students able to land a job in 2 months. But still, if you are interested to join the bootcamp, you can reach out to me. You can send me your email, or you can go to our website to look into the details. Okay, we also have data engineer program, and also if you want to upskill yourself after your graduations, you want to become data machine learning engineer, we do have more advanced course for you to focus on the deep learning, like a large language model. Some students or some people want to skip the machine learning and directly become a machine learning engineer, which I won't recommend because you will miss so many fundamental, for example, Python SQL and machine learning. And if you directly go to the deep learning, you may have trouble to complete the course. Okay? So also we will have part-time available in 2024. Okay? For the part-time, the next cohort will start at February 27 to 2024. And sorry, this is the free full-time. Full-time will be 2024, January 29. I think Alex already goes through the job market, and I believe in January, there will be more job posts because according to our students, recently we have more and more students get job offer. December is very quiet because it's holiday season, and lots of HR are like on the holidays, and lots of manager are holiday, right? So, and also some of students need a break. Yeah, so back to the back to January, we hear lots of good news from our students. Again, every student land a job in 6 months. If they haven't land a job, but like because of some of the time, we students have to handle some like a problem in their life, or they have to do the traveling, they have to pause, which we still continue to support students. When they come back, they are still staying in the club projects, and when they're ready, and they just go to interview, we will provide reference check. Okay, just a little bit background about the types of data scientists. You know, the data, like as data scientists, you may have to handle different kind of like problems and different models, and so actually for our students, it like what I told them is you don't need to know all the models, or you don't have to be expert in financial, insurance, like marketing, every industry. So only thing you need is get specialized in one particular area or industry, even one model or even one like cloud platform. So your domain knowledge, your expert will meet the requirement about the job description so we can land the job. But if you are lost the focus, you are learning everything at the same time. First of all, you're not able to memorize everything, right? So you will find you will forgot like lots of knowledge after 2 or 3 months. And when you go to interview and you feel you're ready, but when they ask you, you find the question is so many details, right? And you're not able to answer it. So that's why I always told students, always start with one particular industry. If you're able to doing well, you move on to the next. Never rush yourself to like have too many things in your plate. Okay. As type of data scientist, there will be 4 typical types of data science. So the first one will be operational data science. I will call it a junior position. Or sometimes you will see a position called data scientist analytics. So it could be in that area as well. So you will focus on the SQL, of course Python, visualization, and also you do need to build an applied machine learning model. and also you have to have very good understanding about business needs, and have good communication as well. So as a operational data scientist, constantly you will maybe create new models, or you update your existing models, and make sure the model performance is well. So the difference between the operational data scientist and the machine learning researcher is a machine learning researcher is more focused on the algorithm implementations, and also focus on the research based on the definition, right? So which means you probably gonna work on a new algorithm. For example, if you were in the NLP or natural language processing or the ChatGPT, so you was like a researcher for that area, right? So if you were researcher to create a big data, like a big large language model, so that's something you do. Most often you will find this job in the like a high-tech company, like a Google, Amazon, or Apple's, right? So they want to build a new algorithm. They need lots of people have. First of all, you have to have good education background, like PhD, master, so you are capable to do the research or develop new models. Another type of the like a data scientist, machine learning engineer. So which I will say is upskill yourself, is the next level, or we can say a senior data scientist. And you will create a data pipeline or machine learning like a model pipeline, and you will focus on the model deployment and automations. So which means your duty is not only build the model, and you want to put this model in the pipeline, make sure you're able to deliver the result, especially handle the larger amount of data. So you have to know the big data as well. But the difference, instead of just the pure like a Python environment, you have tons of the different I will say different environments. For example, you may need to know what is Docker. AWS will have to be one of the core, because most of the knowledge will be the platform will be run on the cloud, and also Kubernetes or others new tools. So as a machine learning engineer, it's more focused on the pipeline, not really the machine learning model itself is the same, but you have to build up different model for different uses. The last one will be the data science product owner. So that is very good for some of the candidates are already a manager or have some knowledge from the previous experience. So you can connect to the data field. So but always you start with operational data scientist, right? So after maybe 1 or 2 years, and you find you are more interested to build a project, so you will be the data ownership. So you own this data. You will bring the idea what you're gonna do with it. For example, you want to maybe start a new campaigns using this data for the email campaigns, or you could do a different forecasting, or you want to do different approach. Often in the banking, we see a lot of somebody already have large amount of data, but they want to have different direction or want to bring more values to this particular project, right? So you will be the product owner of the assets, like a project manager, right? Okay, so you have to have strong knowledge with the strategies and the data-driven product design and project management. Okay, so yeah, so that's all typical 4 types of the data scientists you can find, and still you may find which is best for you during the learning or during the work, right? So you can find the best direction, but still the salary as I show you everyone. So the average salary for all this job is around like $110,000 US if we count. But still, with our students' feedback, as operational data scientists, the salary could be 85,000 plus bonus, or 85,000 plus some stock, right? So depends on the company. Okay, so let me just skip this. And also, again, so I will say what you learn from the boot camp is more focused on the coding and the tools. But for example, the tools like Linux, Python, SQL, sometimes Scala, PySpark, Java, and also knowledge with the cloud platform like Hadoop, Spark, and for the math and the machine learning is like a statics, linear, like a basic machine learning models or different models, and to use different strategy to do the like a maybe future like feature engineering, feature selections, and all kinds of technique or skills to improve your models, right? Other than that, which is most student we find is lacking is the storytelling. The reason, first of all, um, I think that's the limitation because when you go to school or same in our boot camp, and the data you get touched with is already pre-processed. So you're probably not gonna do too much thing with this data. Is already there. And you don't need to worry like what kind of data you're gonna collect, what you're gonna do with data, what's the problem for the company, and what you're gonna do with it. So you lost the data-driven part, right? So without that part, it's very hard for you to tell a story. So that's why the BIM data, like which is Alex work with, is helping students to understand the business needs. So that's a big part of the work experience and the domain knowledge. And also the communication skills and the presentation, how you're able to present your knowledge in front of the, most cases we all talk about in front of the interviewer, right? So we don't really, the purpose for everything we want to do is pass interview, right? So we don't do it for fun. We do it for the values. We want let everyone knows what you are good at, right? So you have to able to tell what you can do and your capacity, and also some use cases like as I mentioned, you have to be domain on the particular industry or area able to land the job, and maybe it's the project management. So if you are in case able to manage a program, and also you have to mention like what you do, because it means you have like a problem solving, business understanding, and also communication, lots of skill. That's just gonna be big part if you have this knowledge. Of course, communication, right? So I think communication is one of the very important thing, uh, because sometimes the client even don't know what they want, or sometimes like a client you will change their mind next day. So it's very important to get communication with our clients, right? So all these parts storytelling, which you're not able to learn from school, or you're not able even from the bootcamp. That's why we have the real client projects for students to hands-on. So with this environment, and you can ready for the interview. Okay, so let me just skip some of that. Okay, so here is a list, right? So coding, like what we do every day, is a very beginning. So that's the start kit, I will say this way. Everything built on the codings, but still, as data scientists, you may not need to be very good at coding, because you more use that as tool to import libraries, create a pipeline, use this tool to build a machine learning model or data pipeline model, right? But you do need to create a very complex coding, like a web development, front end or back end, like a coding. So because the purpose for the code is serve you as a data scientist to use these different tools to help you solve the problem. You not create something new, everything already there. You just need to know what to use. For the platform, sometime will be in your Python environment, cloud, or could be in a cloud environment, also could be big data. For the machine learning, again, so machine learning are there's big wide of different like industry or use cases. No one can be good at everything. So always focus on your personal interest or domain knowledge and develop that skills. Okay. Storytelling, as I mentioned, you have to get that piece from the client projects or your real life. So I think that's the all for today. Again, so if you are interested to join our bootcamp, please share your email with me, so I will connect you to our advisors. And I think I may have a screenshot for the resume. Just give you an idea on. Okay, I don't have in this slides. Wait, so again, so on your resume, so normally I will say like what you learn or what kind of skills you have is one of the important factors, but they're also very important factor is your relevant work experience. Like we do respect your previous work experience, but when you go to the interview and most of the HR will look into your current knowledge. They don't look into if you are very good at maybe if you are a manager or supervisor or even you're a director, but you don't have any knowledge with data. They won't give you that interview opportunities. So that's why you always want to put like a 80% paragraph of your data relevant experience on your resume. Okay. So just quick wrap of the our data science bootcamp. And for the training, it will be 12 weeks or 3 months. It will be 40 hours per week, so that's full time. And they will be include portfolio projects and the real client projects, and also once you graduate and when you join the client project, we also provide one-on-one mentorship, so you will receive career support. For the part-time, sorry, let me just go through. So during the bootcamp, you will learn like a SQL plus database and Python, machine learning, AWS, Spark, and also you have few portfolio projects. Again, the portfolio project is only showcase you have skills, but it's not good enough to showcase you have relevant work experience. So that's why the real client projects take a really big part of your experience. And also you will receive one-on-one career mentor. You do have option if you already learn all the skills, but you find you have trouble to land a job, which is lack of relevant work experience. We do offer a project only. And for the client projects plus mentorship. We also have part-time. So it's for someone or wants to do the career switch or transaction and have full-time job. So it will be 12 hours a week. So there will be 2 lectures plus 1 lab. A lecture in the evening from 7:30 to 10:30 Eastern time, and the lab from 1 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon every Saturday. So it will be 28 weeks. Actually, we reduced it. So I was like around 6 months. It will be cheaper because real client project is optional. You can make decision at end of the bootcamp. So it will teach you exactly the same thing in the full-time bootcamp, but the only difference is a client project is optional. Okay, I think I have some questions here.
Sorry, Adam.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Just before you answer any questions, I do want to underscore a couple of things that Adam touched on, and I think really to tie the two things that we've been talking about this evening together. I think the model, the bootcamp, and particularly its use of real client projects, is what sets it apart from any other bootcamp related to data science, or any other bootcamp for that matter, in that what it does, it actually solves a fundamental problem. It solves that sort of that catch-22 where you need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. So in that sense, what's happening here is a sort of a marriage of the two, in that what will happen is you will acquire that experience post bootcamp graduation, leverage that experience into your future employment position. And to the extent that the model works, I would invite you to look at the placement rate. And I think, Adam, we have a link to that where, for at least as it concerns Ontario, but it's proven to be a remarkably effective model for employing students into the data science job market. Yeah, sorry,
So,
right there.
Yeah, so I shared the link to the channel. So for the replacement rate, so here's overall like a private college, and overall is like 66.3% of graduation rates, and employment rate is 81. 56.5 is the graduate who graduates from that course are in the same field like what they learn, and so that is the average. So we are in here. We are 94.4% graduation rate, 91% employment rate, and 91% of the students in the same field about what they learn. So 91% of students go to become data specialists. And yeah, so I think this big achievement for our student, and be very happy with all this achievement our students do. Yeah, so we do have a LinkedIn for our students. Like you will find, when you try to apply for the job, you probably find lots of students are from our like BIM data or WeCloudData. So like lots of our mentors are our students, and some of our like previous alumni maybe are hiring someone. That's why you get good connection with the mentor. They may give you some like a support or referrals to help you with jobs. And also, even though when you join the client projects, and because you are not really ready to deliver like a very good value of the projects, but if you are capable to do any machine learning models, create a dashboard, or do some data collections, and we do have optional. There is a paid option, like we pay you to do it, but you have to be very good at the coding, which you are meet standing of the industry requirement, right? So at that point, you're probably gonna land job very soon, but we do all have paid client project available. Okay, so let's if you have any questions, let's you can share anything you want to ask, or share any like insights from today's, and we would like to talk about that. And also, I think I want to share one story. I was so I was so glad, like one of the students, like because I'm not sure, so I won't show her LinkedIn, but this student also Alex knows. We have one student. She graduates, I think September. Sorry, mid of this year. when she's a very good student and she's doing well during the boot camp, but sometimes, their life always have some challenge, and she's feel very frustrated, because of family issue, and she's not able to focus on client projects. And like Alex and I always support our students, even though when they have challenges, they shows uncertain about their future. But we know, we have so many students, we know if you have passions, you have skill set ready, and you're able to deliver it, it's just a matter of the time to land a job. And she's so upset, because again, the family and also even though she only graduated less than 6 months, which is less than the average students that job. I think she landed job in 4 or 5 months, but still at that point after first project, and she feeling not comfortable because she's so she has, I have to be honest, she may have some financial issues, and she feeling she need a job as soon as possible, and we keep encourage her, and we keep let her know, send me your resume to your mentor, say where need to be improved, and she do get lots of interview chance, but she wasn't able to get a job after maybe 2 or 3, and recently during the Christmas, and she sent me a message, told me, oh, because before she wants to become our TA, but during the Christmas she told me, oh Adam, please ignore me my request, I get a job offer. I was so surprised, and I'm so happy, because the few days before the Christmas she was so upset because she feeling she not able to land a job, right? So as a program manager, and also a project manager from Alex perspective, we know she should land job very soon. But just between in that moment, she is a little bit upset, but we encouraged her, and she was so happy, and it's just like a 1 2 weeks, and she become so satisfied with everything, I will say this way. And she get a job offer. She even told me, I may not take this offer because I may have better offer wait for me. Okay, so I think that's just example. So as a career switcher, and also somebody want to change upskill themselves, there will be some challenge in this path, and we will be there. If you what I want to mention is that you have to go with the path with someone else with you, because we see enough, we know you're gonna be success. It's very hard to do it by yourself, and it's very easy to get emotional or feeling without time. But with enough support, enough professional knowledge, you learn from the training, repeatedly trainings, and you should land a job. It's just a matter of time. I will say that maybe you can consider that secret mixes our campus or our school doing, and as we do find a way this formula works, and it should be working with everyone.
I will. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
No, as long as we're sharing experiences, I figured while we're still on the line, I'd share mine. And sort of to what you were saying, one of the reasons actually, well, there's 2 reasons I myself am a graduate of the boot camp, and there's 2 reasons why I chose the boot camp. One is because of the Real Client project. I thought that was just an invaluable aspect to the program, and I'll touch on that in a second. The other one was, and to sort of what Adam was talking about, was largely the sincerity that people involved with the program had, and insofar as it did and still does feel like they're very invested in my development, rather than for me, it's sort of very sincerity and authenticity is a very important trait, and to the degree that anybody exhibits it, I sort of gravitate towards that. and appreciative when I experience it. And having talked with the the folks affiliated with the program, it seemed that way, and my experience can sort of confirm that it was. And even to this day, I'm sort of like struck by and still impressed with the level of sincerity and support that is offered to me. But again, the other reason was the real client projects. I thought they were going to be particularly important for me because I didn't come from a traditional background. Certainly wasn't in STEM. So I thought that I would really have to find some experience and leverage that experience. And it sort of provided a great opportunity to that sort of the great transition point between, okay, you've been immersed in sort of like the academic setting and school, and then there was like the quote unquote real world, and the time in between the boot camp and the real world allowed me and allowed, I guess, anyone going through it, that buffer and transitional space, which to really hone their skills and develop new ones, but I think more importantly is develop a certain level of confidence. I mean, to some extent, an imposter syndrome is maybe inevitable, or at least maybe it is for me. But there's a lot of trepidation, I guess, about, oh man, can I take on a real job? What is that? Especially if you're new to that. And I remember because at the bootcamp we have an opportunity to sort of indicate which projects we would like to engage with after the bootcamp. And there was this one particular project that I was like, no, that feels sort of like too far removed. I don't know, maybe that's maybe a little past my skill set. And to some extent it was, but it sort of stretched me a little bit more, and and developed my skill set. But in any event, I didn't want to touch a 10-foot pole. Like, forget that one. So I took on my first client project, and sort of built up. I went through, I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. This is manageable. And then the further along I went, the more my confidence grew. And it was a funny thing, because then one of the project managers at the time from being asked me if I wanted to be a part of that project I didn't want to have anything to do with. And by that point, I was like, yeah, I think I want to be a part of that. I think I can do that. And I did, and it was a tremendous experience. And first of all, just to learn and be in that environment, but also to sort of be working with sort of this I won't name the company, but it's this fairly significant company, and did wonders for me. And long story short, I'm now a project manager at Beam, and I'm managing that project now. So it's certainly interesting to come full circle. But all of that for me was the real client projects. That said, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to either text it or unmute the microphone, and maybe we can have a talk about, well, anything.